Hello, my friends. Welcome back. How are ya? um, so, I want to confirm, yes, I want to confirm some things to some people. And I've been talking about this so much in the last year. And so, for those of us who have been waiting on the Lord and His timing, we may not have been doing it very perfectly, but that's okay. The Lord never expected perfect. He wanted our obedience, and He wanted to be able to train us so that we could step into the promised the promise the promised land, to step into that calling, to step into that space that the Lord wants to place you in. And so if you take time to look at your life from a spiritual perspective, you may begin to notice how the Lord has strategically placed you in community. Maybe you've taken a class, or you are getting certain kinds of connections in. It could be whatever it is that you are whatever's coming to your mind right now. I believe that is kind of the Lord confirming to you that those things that you are thinking about have been His hand on your life. And for 2 days, Mama, that's my cat. For 2 days, I've been hearing the phrase smear campaign. And I don't use that language. I mean, it's not a bad language. What I mean is I never say smear campaign. And so I was very curious about it, and I'm not really sure how the two correlate. So I'll let the Lord kind of continue to let me know what's going on there. But I looked up what that means, and it's a plan to discredit a public figure by making false or dubious accusations, or an attempt to harm the reputation of a person. And then the Lord led me to Joshua, and the thing that I wrote down first was the delay was for your safety. So maybe the Lord has told you to kind of be still, and maybe things aren't moving as quickly as they were before. And as I'm talking, those two things seem to be correlated. So He had you stop until the coast was clear, until things were kind of cleared up, and He did the things that He needed to do, so that you can begin to move forward. And so the Lord led me to the story of the spies that went into the land to see what was going on there. And, you may or may not know the story about the spies going to Rahab, and she hid them, and it was for their protection. And so I just felt like the Lord had some of us hidden for a while until the coast was clear, until it was safe to go back on mission. And even after they received instruction from Rahab that when it was time to leave, to escape, right, from the place that they were in, because the king was searching for them, they still needed to continue waiting in a different place for 3 days. And so they received instruction to wait, because the delay was for their safety. That waiting period was for their safety. If they would have left too soon, they would have been caught, and who knows what would have happened. And you can probably imagine that in that waiting space, that they were probably very anxious about getting caught. They were probably like, oh my gosh, when is this gonna end? Like, how long are we gonna be here? We need to go back and start telling our people, like, what's going on. They're waiting for us. They had a job to do, and but they were delayed, and that delay was for their safety. And so, yeah, the Lord was with them. I wrote, the Lord was with them, and it was time for them to cross over. They were finally able to make it back safely, to spread the message that it was time to go. The land was theirs. The Lord had gone before them, and all the things that had taken place, all the people that they had conquered, the way the Lord parted the sea for them, that news went before them, right? That news went before them, and the people were afraid because the Lord was with them. You catch what I'm trying to say to you right now? The Lord went before them. The stories went before them. And they were terrified. The people they were too afraid to try to fight them because they heard the news of how they conquered, how the Lord was with them, how they parted the Red Sea, how he made a way for them. Even through all the stuff that they had to go through, the Lord was still providing and making a way. And there was a training season, right? There was a training, there was preparation, but there was provision, and there was mercy, and there was goodness, right? The Lord will take us through the things that we need to go through, or he will allow. Nothing happens without the Lord allowing it, good or bad. But going back to the Garden of Eden, we know that it was never for man to decide what was good and evil, because that is in control of the Lord. What the Lord wills is for good, right? It is higher than our ways. And so for us to try to decide, oh, this is bad or this is good, is relative, really. We have a foundation of that, but anyways, kind of going off on a tangent here. We have a foundation, right? But ultimately that foundation is the Lord. And he lets us know things in part. He's so good. He's so good. Anyways, I'm going to get back to this. And so for those of you who have been waiting, actually really funny story. Yesterday I heard a video and they were talking about how waiting in Hebrew was kind of to be intertwined with the Lord. And in this season of waiting, it is an opportunity to intertwine our lives in a deeper way with our Father, to come into understanding the mind of Christ, because we also have the mind of Christ, and the more we are able to understand him, the more we're able to understand ourselves, and the more we're able to understand others, because we will now be viewing life and things and people through the lens of Jesus and not our own, and not trying to decide for ourselves what is good, what is evil, but everything that we will do will pass through the Lord's hands. We will give it to him to decide, right? And so I'll give an example. Like when things are going crazy in my life, I can get really anxious. I also then know, okay, God, what are you teaching me with this? What is this helping me to learn? What is this building in me? What is this healing in me? Because it's not just chaos for chaos' sake, right? He will shake the things that can be shaken so that the unshakable things are the only thing that remain. He wants you to become unshakable. He wants you to stand firm in his word and who he is and in your identity as a child of God, not being tossed to and fro, right? And the only way that you can come into that space of stability is with the Lord, is with his leading and his guidance. And sometimes it looks a little chaotic, and sometimes your foundation seems to be shaking, right? But the foundation is just becoming more sturdy because the things that can be shaken will be shaken. He is building you on a rock instead of sand. And over time, when the winds blow, when the things come your way that feel like they're going to knock you down, no matter how hard it gets, you know that your life is built on Jesus, that you are on a firm foundation of his mercy and his goodness, and that he will never leave you or forsake you. He will always love, he will always guide, he will discipline, but that is the Father's love for us. And so finally, it was time for the Israelites to take the land. It is time to cross over. It is your crossing over season. He is making a way once again. He parted the sea. Actually, I made a video about that on my Instagram. But he parted the Red Sea, right? And they crossed through on dry land. And the same thing is happening again, right? The same thing in that story happened again. And he made a way through the Jordan River and the land. And the river went into the Dead Sea. And it stopped until everyone was able to safely cross. So yes, there was delay. Yes, there was a little anxious, time of like, what's going on? What's going to happen? Why are we still here? It's been all this time. Like, where's my people? What's going on? And the Lord was just making a way, right? And the story is not only about them, but how Rahab through this was saved. And this continued, and it furthered the lineage. I'm not exactly sure how to say that, but it brought about the lineage, the root of Jesse that brought Jesus to us, right? So it's not just about you. It's not just about me. It's about the people that are going to be touched, that are going to be saved by us walking in obedience. And when we get the instruction, we just say, okay, oh my gosh, I have to wait, okay. I don't know what's going on, but okay. We're going to stay here. I'm going to stay hidden until you, God. Until your timing, until you tell me it is safe to go. So, the promised land is for you. The Lord has made some of us, all of us, right? The Lord makes promises to us, and his word is true. And that word may not be the same for every single person. It's not. We all have different journeys that we are going on. But if this is resonating with you, then you know the promise that the Lord has made you. And maybe you have felt delusional lately. Maybe you feel like, is this thing gonna ever happen? And last night, the Lord confirmed to me in a service that I was in, and those words were used. And that day I was journaling, and I was like, God, I don't know if it'll ever happen. I trust you. I have faith in you. And I'm trying to put those two things together, right? Like knowing that it will happen because I trust you. And this morning, the Lord led me to a scripture, and it said, I will trust despite whatever's going on. I will trust in your unfailing love, and I will rejoice because you have rescued me. How many times has the Lord rescued you? How many times has the Lord brought you out? How many times has the Lord cleared the path so that you could cross over on dry land when the enemy was right behind you and they were closing in and you had no idea, and you were between this gigantic ocean of uncertainty and not knowing what's going on, and the enemy is quick on your heels, and the Lord says, watch this. I got your back, baby. I'm not gonna leave you. If I brought you out, I'm gonna bring you through. Trust in the Lord. He has got your back. The promises are true and real and right. The Lord will sustain you. He will make a way. He has been training you, and training season is over for now. Until next time, I love you guys. To God be all the glory.